The galaxy was never truly silent. Stars hummed with energy, planets sang with storms, and civilizations filled the void with voices of trade, conflict, and endless ambition. Great fleets traveled between suns, carrying both hope and destruction. Empires rose like burning comets and fell like dying stars. The galaxy was alive with noise, but among all that noise there was one world that never spoke. One small blue planet, tucked in the spiral arm of the Milky Way, turned silently around its yellow star. It was called Earth. To the galaxy, Earth was a quiet mystery. Scout ships had visited its system across the centuries. They mapped its oceans, its forests, its mountains. They recorded the movements of strange creatures called humans. These humans built cities. They flew small machines in the sky. They sent tiny probes into the void. But that was all. No mighty fleets left orbit. No colonies spread across nearby stars. No voice from Earth joined the galactic chorus. To alien eyes, humanity looked primitive, harmless, too young to matter, too small to stand beside the empires of the stars. The galaxy dismissed Earth as nothing more than a silent rock with thinking animals. For generations, Earth was ignored. While others fought great wars, Earth stayed home. While others carved their banners into the stars, Earth remained on the ground. While others shouted, Earth was quiet. But what the galaxy never understood was that silence can be a choice. Sometimes silence is not weakness. Sometimes silence is patience. And Earth was patient. Humanity had always been different. They were fragile creatures compared to the armored hides of the Kreth, or the towering forms of the Threx. They lived short lives compared to the timeless minds of the Elvari. Their bodies were weak, their world small, their technology young. But they had something no one else carried in such fire. They had stubbornness. They had will. They had the gift of learning from every failure and never forgetting what they learned. So while the galaxy ignored them, Earth listened. When alien empires broadcast signals across the stars, Earth's machines caught them. Every whisper, every code, every pattern, they recorded it all. When great battles shook the heavens, Earth watched from afar, using hidden telescopes and quiet probes. They studied how ships moved, how fleets fought, how empires fell. When others made mistakes, Earth learned. For centuries, humanity said nothing. They did not answer calls. They did not reveal their hand. But underground, deep in their oceans and hidden in their skies, they prepared. The galaxy thought Earth was silent because it had nothing to say. In truth, Earth was silent because it was not yet ready to speak. Among humans themselves, life continued as it always did. They worked, they dreamed, they loved, they suffered. Many never knew the truth, that their leaders had seen alien ships, had caught alien signals, and had chosen to keep it secret. Ordinary humans looked at the stars with wonder, never realizing how close danger truly was. But in hidden places, humanity's greatest minds labored. Beneath mountains, deep below deserts, and in secret stations that never appeared on maps, they built ships that no one outside Earth had ever seen. Not small ships, not fragile machines like the probes they had sent before. No, these were giants, motherships, designed to protect Earth when the day came that silence would no longer shield them. It was not pride that drove them. It was fear. Fear of what they had seen in the galaxy's broadcasts. Fear of empires that enslaved weaker races. Fear of dominions that consumed entire planets. Fear that one day someone would look at Earth and see nothing more than a target. And so humanity prepared in secret, year after year, generation after generation, in silence. The galaxy, meanwhile, barely remembered Earth existed. It had wars of its own. The Threx dominion grew stronger, spreading its fleets like a storm across the Orion Arm. The Kreth Empire, proud and cruel, devoured weaker species. Even the peaceful Elvari turned inward, isolating themselves behind their ancient shields. The galaxy had no time for a quiet little blue world, but silence cannot last forever. A predator always notices the quietest prey. When the Threx scouts finally returned to the Sol system, they laughed at what they saw. The blue planet was still there, still silent, still weak. Its people had cities, yes, machines, yes, but no fleets of power, no colonies, no defense worth speaking of. To the Threx, Earth looked like a fruit left hanging too long on the tree, ripe, ready to be taken. Reports were sent to their Dominion leaders. The conclusion was simple. Earth would fall. It was unguarded. It was silent. It would be another easy conquest in a long list of victories. The galaxy agreed. Who could possibly fear Earth? Yet, beneath that silence, Earth's heart was beating faster. Human leaders knew the day would come. For generations, they had waited. Now the shadow had arrived. Mothers kissed their children and did not know what storm was coming. Farmers tilled their soil, workers built machines, lovers held hands, all unaware that beyond the sky death was already on its way. But in secret hangars, in deep underground chambers, alarms began to ring. Pilots climbed into cockpits they had trained for in silence. Engineers woke machines that had slept beneath the oceans. The first Mothership, a giant born from patience and fear, hummed with life for the very first time. Earth was no longer silent. It was only holding its breath, and soon the galaxy would learn the truth. Silence had deceived them. The Threx Dominion did not believe in hesitation. They were conquerors by nature, bred for war and raised on victory. To them, the galaxy was not a place of wonder, but a field of prey. When their scouts reported the blue world called Earth, the Dominion barely thought twice. "It is weak," their commanders declared. "It is silent. It will fall." And so the invasion began. The Dominion's fleet gathered in the darkness of space. 50 battleships with black steel hulls shaped like daggers. 20 carriers, each holding swarms of fighters, hundreds of escorts and support vessels. Their combined power had burned hundreds of worlds before. To the Threx, this was routine. Their fleet slipped into the Sol system like a shadow swallowing. Light. They passed Neptune, cold and distant. They passed Jupiter with its swirling storms and countless moons. Finally, they reached the small blue planet orbiting close to its star. From orbit, Earth looked beautiful. Oceans glittering, clouds drifting lazily, continents painted green and gold. But beauty meant nothing to the Threx. To them, Earth was only resources. Its oceans could be drained, its soil could be mined, its people could be shackled. The Dominion commander, Lord Kareth, gazed at Earth with contempt. His scaled hands tightened behind his back as he stood on the bridge of his flagship. "Another world," he said coldly. "Another silence broken. Begin the harvest." Down on Earth, ordinary people still lived their lives unaware. In the busy cities, trains rushed, children laughed, workers moved through crowded streets, farmers worked their fields, fishermen cast their nets, lovers planned futures together. None of them looked at the night sky and imagined that a storm of death now hovered above them. But in hidden command centers, deep below mountains and seas, alarms blared. Humanity's watchers had seen the enemy arrive. The signals had been caught. The silent preparations of generations were finally over. The order was given in voices that trembled with both fear and resolve. Awaken the Mothership. For decades, humanity had built it in secret. Buried in the Pacific Ocean, hidden from all eyes, was a structure unlike anything ever seen before. A vessel so vast that entire cities could fit inside it. A ship designed not for exploration, but for survival. The Dominion fleet took position above Earth. The ocean began to boil. Waves rose like mountains as a shadow stirred beneath. Then, with a sound that shook the heavens, the water split open. The first mothership emerged. It rose slowly at first, like some ancient beast climbing from the depths. Its silver hull was scarred with history, marked with human hands and human sacrifice. Towers of steel stretched upward, and engines the size of skyscrapers glowed with a white fire. The ship was larger than any the galaxy had ever seen, larger than the Dominion's carriers, larger than their battleships. It dwarfed them all. The people of Earth looked to the skies that night. Across continents, millions saw it rise through the clouds. Some wept, some cheered, some prayed. For generations they had been told the world was alone, that they were fragile. But now they saw the truth with their own eyes. Humanity was not defenseless. Humanity had been preparing. The mothership's name appeared on its side, painted in bold. Letters for all to see, Soul's Wrath. On the Dominion flagship, silence fell across the bridge. The Threx commander stared at the rising vessel, his scaled mouth tightening in disbelief. "What is that?" one officer whispered. Karath snarled. "A trick. A primitive toy. Destroy it." But even as he spoke, unease crawled across his chest. Something about the mothership felt wrong. It was too large, too deliberate. This was not the work of a primitive race. This was the work of a people who had been waiting. The first shot was fired by the Dominion. A battleship unleashed a beam of red fire toward the human vessel. The energy slammed into the mothership's shields, lighting up the sky with blinding light. And yet when the glow faded, the mothership still stood. Its hull gleamed, untouched. Then came humanity's reply. From the mothership's core, a deep hum began to echo. The sound rolled across the oceans, across the continents, into the bones of every man, woman, and child who heard it. It was not just a sound. It was a promise. A beam of white light erupted from Soul's Wrath. It cut through the blackness of space, striking the Dominion battleship that had dared to fire first. For a heartbeat, the ship glowed like a star. Then it broke apart, split cleanly in two, its burning pieces falling into the void. The galaxy had never seen such power from Earth. The silent world had spoken, and its first word was fire. Chaos spread through the Dominion fleet. Fighters swarmed from their carriers, rushing toward the mothership like angry wasps. But as they drew close, the mothership opened, and humanity revealed another secret. From its bays poured swarms of fighters, smaller than the Dominions, but faster, sharper, more agile. Pilots who had trained their whole lives in silence now took to the stars. Their voices filled comms with steady resolve. Protect Earth. Protect our people. Do not yield. The battle lit up the skies. The Dominion had come expecting easy conquest. Instead, they found themselves outmaneuvered, outgunned, and overwhelmed. Every strategy they used, every formation they tried, humanity countered with precision, because Earth had watched them for centuries. Every Dominion tactic had been studied, every weakness remembered. Humanity knew them better than they knew themselves. On Earth's surface, fear turned to awe. Families gathered on rooftops, watching beams of light streak across the night sky. Children clutched their parents' hands as explosions painted the heavens. For the first time, humanity was not just a world under threat. It was a world fighting back. Tears rolled down faces as they whispered the same words again and again. We are not weak. We are not alone. We are ready. On the Dominion flagship, Lord Karath roared in rage. This is impossible. They were silent. But deep inside, he understood the truth. Silence had deceived them. The blue planet was not weak. The blue planet was not prey. The blue planet was a trap that had waited for centuries. And as more human ships uncloaked from Earth's orbit, smaller destroyers, hidden carriers, and defense platforms, The Dominion commander felt something he had not felt in decades. Fear. When the battle finally reached its peak, the sky above Earth was a storm of fire. Ships exploded like dying stars. Debris rained down, burning in the atmosphere. The Dominion fought with fury, but the humans fought with something greater. They fought with love for their world. They fought with the memory of their silence. They fought with the strength of every generation that had prepared for this moment. And though the night burned with chaos, one truth became clear. The galaxy had made a mistake. The silent world was not silent anymore. Earth had spoken, and the galaxy was listening. The night sky above Earth burned like never before. It was not the glow of stars, nor the gentle shimmer of the moon. It was fire. Explosions ripped across the blackness, lighting the heavens in red and white. The Dominion had come with arrogance, certain that silence meant weakness. But now, silence had turned into fury. The mothership Sol's Wrath moved through space like a mountain with wings. Its massive frame glowed with the light of shields and weapons, its cannons unleashing storms of fire. Wherever its beams struck, Dominion ships broke apart, their screams lost in the void. But the Dominion was not weak. They were conquerors who had ruled half the Orion arm. Their fleets were forged in war, and their soldiers knew no mercy. Even as their ships fell, they fought with rage. Thousands of their fighters swarmed the human vessel, filling the sky like locusts. Their weapons struck again and again, battering the shields of Sol's Wrath. The mothership shook under the pressure, its hull groaning like a wounded beast. Inside the ship, human crews worked without rest. Engineers shouted, alarms blared, sparks flew as systems strained. Pilots in fighter bays climbed into their crafts, hearts pounding but eyes sharp. They knew what was at stake. Earth was behind them. Their families, their children, their future. Everything was riding on this battle. Launch squadrons 2 and 3, the commander ordered. Yes, sir! And once more, swarms of human fighters poured into space. They were small compared to the Dominions, but faster, sharper, deadlier. The Dominion pilots fought with arrogance, but human pilots fought with desperation. Every maneuver, every strike carried the weight of survival. On Earth's surface, people watched from below. In every city, in every village, millions lifted their eyes to the burning sky. Fear gripped their hearts, but so did pride. They had always believed they were fragile, that if the galaxy ever came, humanity would crumble. But now they saw the truth. Look, whispered a mother to her son, pointing at the glowing trails of fighters. They're ours. The boy's eyes widened, filled with wonder. We're winning? She pulled him close, tears in her eyes. We're fighting! The Dominion fleet pressed harder. Lord Careth, the Dominion commander, roared orders from his flagship. His scaled fist slammed against the arm of his throne-like chair. Surround them! Break their wings! Crush this toy of theirs! His officers obeyed, sending squadrons to encircle the mothership. Massive battleships pushed closer, their guns blazing. Slowly, they forced Sol's Wrath into a corner, hoping to overwhelm it with sheer numbers. But humanity had been waiting for this moment. The human commander aboard Sol's Wrath, Admiral Elias Rourke, stood tall on the bridge. His face was weathered, his eyes burning with steady fire. He had trained for this day his entire life. Generations of his family had served in silence, preparing for the war no one wanted to believe would come. They think they have us, Rourke said calmly. They don't realize we've studied them. At his command, hidden compartments opened across the mothership's hull. Dozens of smaller ships uncloaked, vessels the Dominion had not seen. They darted into battle, cutting through the Dominion lines with precision. The Threx formation shattered. Their confidence turned to confusion. They had expected prey, not predators. The battle raged on. Every moment was a storm. Ships exploded in blinding light, scattering debris across the heavens. Fighters weaved through fields of fire, their pilots, crying out in desperation and hope. On the Dominion side, losses mounted. Their arrogance was cracking. Yet they still had numbers, still had strength. For every Dominion ship destroyed, more pressed forward. On the human side, the cost was heavy. Fighters were struck down. Pilots screamed as flames consumed them. Inside Sol's wrath, systems failed one by one. Fire crews ran through smoke-filled corridors. The ship bled, but it did not fall. Admiral Rourke's voice rang across the comms. "We hold the line! For Earth we do not yield!" And across the fleet, across every fighter, voices answered, "For Earth!" In the chaos, a young human pilot named Arya Kane flew among the stars. Her hands gripped the controls, sweat dripping down her brow. She had dreamed of flying since she was a child. She had trained in secret simulators, knowing one day her time would come. But never had she imagined this, facing the might of the galaxy's most feared conquerors. Her fighter twisted and rolled, dodging Dominion fire. She fired back, striking, down one enemy after another. But the cost weighed heavy. Her squadron was shrinking. Friends she had trained with, laughed with, now burned in silence. Tears blurred her vision, but her voice was steady. "We can't give up. We can't." She pushed forward, diving straight into the heart of the enemy swarm. Her bravery gave hope to others, and together they carved a path, striking at the Dominion with fury. On the Dominion flagship, Lord Kareth's pride cracked. He could not understand. How could a silent world, ignored for centuries, stand against them? "This is madness," he snarled. "They should be nothing." One of his officers trembled. "My lord, perhaps their silence was a deception." Kareth's eyes burned with rage. "Then we will show them what it means to defy the Dominion. Prepare the supercannon!" As the massive weapon charged on the flagship, alarms blared aboard Sol's wrath. The humans knew what was coming. One shot could destroy their mothership. Admiral Rourke clenched his fists. He looked at the image of Earth glowing on the screen behind him, his home, his world. He thought of the billions of lives below, waiting, hoping. "We cannot fall here," he whispered. Then louder, "All batteries, focus fire on their flagship. Fighters, give everything you have. If we fall, Earth falls with us." The sky turned into fire once more. Every human ship, every fighter, every cannon poured its strength into one goal: stop the Dominion flagship. Arya Kane saw the glow of the enemy's supercannon charging. She felt her heart pound like a drum. She knew what she had to do. Her hands tightened on the controls. "Admiral." "I'll stop it," she whispered into her comms. Before anyone could answer, she dived straight toward the flagship. Her small fighter darted through enemy fire, weaving between beams of death. Her engines screamed, her shields cracked, but she did not stop. Closer, closer, closer. With one final cry, she locked her weapons and unleashed everything she had at the cannon's core. Her fighter vanished in a blaze of light, and the flagship's weapon exploded from within. The Dominion's deadliest gun was gone. The explosion tore across the flagship, sending fire ripping through its decks. Lord Kareth was thrown from his throne as alarms filled the air. His eyes widened with fury and dread. And in that moment, the Dominion fleet realized they were not fighting prey. They were fighting a people who would sacrifice everything for their world. The battle was not yet over. The Dominion still had ships, still had strength. But something had changed. Their fear grew, their confidence wavered, and Earth's silence had turned into a roar. The battle above Earth had ended, but the sky still burned. Shattered ships drifted in orbit like broken bones. Fires raged on the carcasses of Dominion vessels. The wreckage of human fighters fell through the atmosphere, streaking like shooting stars across the night. The silence that followed was not peaceful. It was heavy, filled with the weight of sacrifice. On the bridge of Sol's Wrath, Admiral Elias Rourke stood with shoulders heavy. His eyes scanned the glowing screens that showed the battlefield. The Dominion flagship was crippled, drifting with flames consuming its decks. Many of their ships had fled, vanishing into the darkness beyond the solar system. Humanity had won, but the cost had been high. Dozens of human pilots had given their lives. Entire squadrons were gone. Among them was Arya Kane, the young pilot, whose final act had destroyed the Dominion supercannon. Her sacrifice saved Earth, but it left a scar on every heart that knew her. Rourke lowered his head. "She gave everything," he whispered. They all did. The bridge was quiet. The crew did not cheer, did not smile. Victory had been earned with blood, and they all felt the weight of it. Down on Earth, the people wept and celebrated in the same breath. Families gathered in the streets, staring up at the glowing mothership that still floated above the clouds. Some cried for the ones who would never return. Some shouted with pride that humanity had stood against the galaxy's strongest conquerors. In small towns and great cities alike, people realized their world had changed forever. The stars were no longer distant mysteries. They were dangerous, alive, and watching. Will they come back? A boy asked his father as they stood on a hill, watching the burning trails in the sky. The father placed a hand on his son's shoulder. His eyes were tired but firm. "Yes, but so will we." The Dominion's defeat sent shockwaves far beyond Earth. Across the galaxy, species who had never spoken the name of the blue planet now whispered it in awe. The silent world has risen. They defeated a Dominion fleet. They built ships in secret, ships that rival our greatest. Some spoke with fear, others with hope. Small civilizations, long crushed by the Dominion, began to dream. If Earth could stand, perhaps they could too. But for the empires of power, Earth's rise was a warning. The Kreth, the Elvari, the Zonar, all watched closely, their leaders filled with unease. A species they had dismissed as primitive had revealed strength beyond imagining. In a hidden chamber on Sol's Wrath, Admiral Rourke and the leaders of Earth gathered. They were weary, but their faces carried resolve. They knew the battle was only the beginning. The Dominion would not forgive. They would return with more fleets, more weapons, more rage. And the rest of the galaxy, uncertain, divided, would be watching to see what humanity did next. For a long moment, the chamber was silent. Then one of the leaders, a woman with silver hair and calm eyes, spoke. "We have hidden for centuries. We have learned. We have built. We have prepared. But the time for silence has ended. The galaxy knows we are here. The question is, who are we going to be?" Her words hung in the air. Humanity had shown its strength, but now came the harder choice. Would they become another empire of conquest? Or would they stand as something different, something greater? Admiral Rourke's voice broke the silence. "We are not conquerors. We are not dominators. We are protectors. We fight not for power, but for survival. And if others are willing to stand with us, then we will fight for them too." The council nodded slowly. They understood the weight of those words. Earth had always been silent, but now its voice would echo across the stars. Messages were sent, not of threats, not of conquest, but of truth. Across the galaxy, transmissions carried a single declaration from humanity. We were silent because we were learning. We saw the galaxy's wars. We saw greed destroy civilizations. We chose patience. But when darkness came to our home, we stood. We will not bow. We will not conquer. But let it be known, humanity protects its own. Those Words reached distant worlds. They reached slaves under Dominion chains who whispered them in secret with hope in their eyes. They reached peaceful species who had feared extinction, and for the first time they believed in a shield that was not their own, but they also reached the great empires. To some, the words were noble. To others, they were a threat. Because if Earth could destroy a Dominion fleet today, what could it do tomorrow? On the Dominion flagship, still burning but limping through the void, Lord Karath survived. His pride was broken, his anger boiling like fire. He had never been defeated so completely. His claws dug into the arm of his ruined chair as he swore to the stars. This is not over. That world will burn. Their silence deceived us once, but when I return, I will silence them forever. His vow carried across what was left of his fleet. Fear of Earth had replaced arrogance, but with fear came hatred. The Dominion would not forget, and they would not forgive. Back on Earth, the scars of battle were clear. Funerals were held for the fallen pilots. Families gathered to honor those who gave their lives. Across the world, people placed candles. In windows, lights of remembrance glowing through the night. Children who had once dreamed of reaching the stars now dreamed of defending them. Artists painted the Mothership rising from the sea. Writers filled pages with tales of bravery. Songs were sung in the streets, songs of pride and sorrow, and in the hearts of billions, something new was born. Hope. On the bridge of Saul's Wrath, Admiral Rourke stood once more, gazing out at the stars. The battlefield was quiet now, but he knew the silence would not last. He thought of Arya Kane and the others who had given everything. Their sacrifice had not been in vain. He spoke softly, but his words carried to every corner of the ship. They thought our silence was weakness. They thought we were blind. But now, the galaxy knows the truth. We are here. We are ready. And we will not fall. Outside, Earth turned slowly beneath the Mothership, a blue jewel shining brighter than ever before. Humanity had carried its weight into the stars, and nothing would ever be the same again. The smoke of battle had faded, but its memory lived on. The skies above Earth were calmer now, yet scars remained. Wreckage drifted in orbit like silent ghosts, reminders of the price paid for survival. The people of Earth had stood together, and against all odds they had endured. But peace did not follow. Peace was never simple in the galaxy. The Dominion had been beaten, but not destroyed. Their surviving fleets fled into the dark, carrying with them anger and shame. Across their empire, the defeated Earth spread like a wound. Never before had the mighty Dominion lost to a single world. Never before had silence risen with such fury. Their pride was shattered, but their hunger for revenge only grew stronger. Lord Karath, still scarred from the battle, stood before his council of warlords and spoke with venom in his voice. They humiliated us. They deceived us with silence. But we will return. We will crush them no matter the cost. His words ignited fire across the Dominion. Factories built more ships. Armies swore vengeance. The galaxy knew one thing for certain. The storm was not over. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity prepared. The victory had changed everything. The people no longer saw themselves as fragile or isolated. They had faced the galaxy's greatest predators and survived. But they also knew the price of that survival. In shipyards hidden beneath oceans, in vast hangars carved into mountains, humanity built more motherships, each one larger, stronger, and faster than the last. They were not built for conquest but for defense, for the shield humanity had promised to become. Saul's Wrath remained the first and greatest, scarred by battle but standing as a beacon, and beside it, new giants slowly took shape, their frames rising like monuments to human will. The galaxy watched. Some species trembled in fear, others whispered with awe. Messages spread across the stars. The silent world builds more. They do not sleep. They are preparing. For the weak and oppressed, Earth's rise became a light in the darkness. Worlds long enslaved by the dominion prayed for. Human ships to come. On hidden colonies, whispers passed from mouth to mouth. The humans protect their own. Maybe they will protect us too. For the great empires, however, Earth was now a question mark written across the stars. What would humanity do with such power? Would they remain protectors or become conquerors like the rest? Admiral Elias Rourke carried that question heavily. On the bridge of Saul's Wrath, he often stood alone, staring out at the stars. He thought of Arya Kane, the young pilot who had sacrificed everything. He thought of the countless others whose names were carved now into memory. Their blood had given Earth its voice, and he knew what must be done. "We will not conquer," he said to his council. "We will not enslave. We will stand. And when the Dominion returns, when any tyrant dares to strike the innocent, we will be there, not as rulers but as guardians." The council agreed. Humanity's path had been chosen. Soon the galaxy heard Earth's voice again, not through war, but through a message broadcast across the stars. It was simple, spoken in calm tones, yet it carried more weight than 1,000 fleets. To the galaxy, the message began, "We are the people of Earth. We were silent because we were learning. We saw your wars. We saw greed consume worlds. We chose patience. But when the shadow came to our home, we stood. And we will stand again. We do not seek empires. We do not seek dominion. We seek only freedom, for ourselves, and for those who cannot defend themselves. Know this, humanity protects its own, and those who seek to destroy us will face our fire." The message spread like wildfire. On worlds where despair had lived, for centuries hope blossomed. On planets under chains, slaves whispered the words in secret. Humanity protects its own. But on the thrones of great empires, fear grew. Leaders who had ignored Earth now saw it as a rival, perhaps even a threat. Their advisors spoke of caution, of watching carefully, of preparing for the day Earth's patience might end. Yet despite the fear, something new stirred in the galaxy. Alliances began to form. Small civilizations, inspired by Earth's stand, reached out in secret. They asked for guidance, for protection, for friendship. And slowly, humanity extended a hand. Not as masters, but as allies. Where the Dominion struck weaker worlds, human ships appeared. Where tyrants crushed rebellion, human fleets offered support. Humanity did not fight for territory. They fought for survival, for freedom, for justice. The silent world had become a shield. On Earth itself, life was forever changed. Children grew up not only learning of stars as distant lights, but as places where danger and hope both lived. Songs were sung of the day the Mothership rose. Monuments were built for the fallen, their names engraved in stone so no sacrifice would be forgotten. People no longer looked at the sky with fear. They looked with pride. For the first time in history, humanity truly believed it had a place among the stars. But even in this new era, Admiral Rourke knew the greatest battles were still to come. The Dominion was preparing. The empires were watching, and silence could never protect them again. One evening, standing on the command deck, he spoke quietly to himself. His words were simple, yet carried the weight of every soul on Earth. They thought silence was weakness. They thought we were prey. But now they know. Silence deceived them. And when the storm comes again, the galaxy will remember. We are the children of Earth, and we do not bow. Above him, Saul's Wrath drifted in the heavens, its scarred hull glowing softly in the starlight. Beside it, new motherships took form, their shadows long and powerful. They would carry humanity's will across the galaxy, and so the legend spread, whispered on every world. The silent world has awakened, and when its ships arrive, hope follows. In the end, Earth's silence was no longer a shield. It had become a story, a warning, and a promise. The galaxy would never again dismiss the blue planet on the edge of the spiral arm, because Earth had spoken, and its voice was louder than the stars themselves.